Good afternoon, members. Kevin Brown here from Clyde Communications with Malcolm McPherson, our lead lawyer on the Enbridge case. Malcolm, a great presentation, good update. Thank you very much. I know the members will appreciate knowing where the case stands as we know it today. I've got a couple of questions if you're open to those.
Absolutely.
Questions that members are probably thinking about, may not have had a chance yesterday to ask. So if you don't mind, I'll ask you those. Have you heard anything at all from Enbridge in the past month or two with respect to Clyde's notification that it wants to go back to litigation, that negotiations had concluded? Have you heard anything at all from Enbridge with respect to this latest action from Clyde today?
Well, that's an easy question to answer. Is we've literally heard nothing. There a letter of notification, which is a formal sort of legal procedure. That letter was sent to Enbridge, and we heard nothing. I did hear back from their senior legal counsel a few days ago, just informing us as to the reasons why Mr. Monaco was unable to attend yesterday's session. But beyond that, it's been totally cold. The word on the street, and of course, you always have to take the word on the street with a grain of salt, or proverbial grain of salt. But the word on the street is that Enbridge is very Calgary-centric focused. There's a general perception that they are ill-equipped to deal with the fact that in British Columbia most of the nations did not do treaty. And for them, it appears to be business as usual. And as I say, the word on the street is that they want to fight.
Speaking of fighting, the court case was launched in February 2019. As you recall, you were there to inform everyone of the action that had been taken by Chief and Counsel at the time. You've been on the case ever since that time. We're talking about 2 years and 3 or 4 months now, this thing. And I know many members are probably asking, how long is this going to take before we see resolution?
Yeah, very good point, a very good question. And that did come up at yesterday's meeting. And unfortunately with legal processes, they're sort of old school. And it takes, well, the courts are backed up. And it just takes a lot of time to work through litigation timelines. So where we're at is we're at the stage, as I mentioned earlier, we're about to proceed with examination for discovery. After that occurs, then a trial date gets set. So a lot of the heavy lifting has been done, and the membership has been patient, especially with COVID-19, which hasn't helped things at all. So I would say we're close to halfway there. Litigation can go on. It's very difficult to predict. I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't. And we'll have to see what unfolds. But really, one of the key questions for the membership, in light of what has been described by the last Chief and Counsel as a pitiful offer from Enbridge, all circumstances considered, is an evaluation as to whether they're in it for the long haul, seek justice and seek proper economic restitution, or let Enbridge further bully through the legal system and pull out the time frame. And that's a calculus that is ultimately the decision of the membership and Chief and Counsel, who is their I guess elected representatives.
There's been an opportunity 2 years, 3 or 4 months since the case was launched for Enbridge to get together with the Clyde Nation, recognize that wrong took place with the explosion. Safety questions continue to be asked by not only Clyde First Nation, but other nations, as you told us today, with the receipt of letters. Now would be the good time, would it not, for this company to come to the table with the Clyde today and hammer out a deal that's good for both parties?
I certainly can't speak for Enbridge, but it seems rather obvious that if Enbridge aspires to, continue operating in British Columbia through the unceded territories of the many nations here, that they can't treat this and other files as business as usual. My own sense is that they're used to dealing with prairie nations that have signed treaties, and for whatever reason, although they have been in British Columbia for many years now, they're behind, if I could put it that way. Certainly, and I think this will engender at some point a broader conversation for the energy sector, which just hasn't kept up with the reality on the ground. If one looks to the forestry industry, if I could use that as an example, many nations receive many million per year through different awards, and so they're more connected to the resources. Same for mining, right? There are typically robust IBA agreements that get penned. For whatever reason, pipeline companies have gotten thus far mostly a free pass. I suspect that will change. And the reason why it has to change is simply stated in the Supreme Court jurisprudence. One need only look at Chilcotin or the Haida decision, or and there's many other decisions I could rattle off, including Delgamuukw. But the risk of oversimplification, the principles articulated is that there's a territory and rights that are to be shared. The effective reality is that there were large Indigenous populations living in British Columbia and across Canada at the time of contact. It was not the fictitious terra nullius. That's absolute nonsense. And there has to be a reconciliation of the fact that there was prior occupation and usage of all of the territory and the mineral tenure, the forest tenure, and the oil and gas tenure. So at some point, if Enbridge and other large corporations, if they want to start building up their brand, and if they want to be seen as safe operators of the transportation of hydrocarbons, they have to do better.
You mentioned, Malcolm, in your summary that Enbridge has found the cost of building a bridge from our north side subdivision to the south side subdivision. Had that bridge been in place in October 2018, that would have given the residents of the north side subdivision a safe exit away from the area of the explosion, which at the time members had no idea how extensive it was, and emergency service folks weren't even on the scene at that time. Tell us a bit about this business of pipelines, because most of us don't have a clue whether they're wealthy enterprises, companies that own pipelines make a lot of money. I believe most would guess, well, they must be fairly successful because there's enough of them and they transport important products that all of us use in our daily lives. But give us a sense of
Sure.
what the profitability of a pipeline company is, whether it's Enbridge or anyone else. I mean, take us into that a little bit and the company's abilities to pay.
No, certainly. One of the things that we did do was some research with respect to the profitability, and so I can speak to the T-South pipeline profitability. So we understand, and take these numbers with a grain of salt because we had to reverse engineer some numbers, but we understand that the operating revenue and income to be in the following ballpark for the years 2018 and 2019. And this again is for the Enbridge T-South pipeline system. And again, these are rough estimates, but they'll give a flavor for sort of the magnitude of the profitability. So in 2018, the numbers that we found online was total operating revenue of about 2.7 billion, give or take. And then 2018, there's total operating income, so after paying off expenses, etc., of 651 million. In 2019, that revenue dropped because it's, prices fluctuate. So the total operating revenue that we roughly calculated was 926 million. And then in 2019, the total operating income, so again, once expenses are factored in, was approximately $258 million. So this is a very highly profitable enterprise. The other matter, I guess it is somewhat related, tangentially, is someone brought up that I guess they did some research. They were curious as to what Al Monaco, the president and CEO of the corporation, made. And they found a newspaper article, I think it was in the Calgary Herald, that stated that in I believe the year was 2018, he made close to $18 million. You know, that's when they factor in, you know, all the stocks and, you know, all the other goodies that that go with the corporate compensation. So yeah, that came up.
$18 million, okay.
We're in the wrong profession, Kevin.
It's a large figure when you think about proposed settlement that Clyde-Letonnet is after, in fairness to what has gone on with the explosion and the impacts of the explosion since October 2018. I'm thinking, based on the numbers you've shared with us today, and as you quantified and qualified, they're best guesstimates at the moment, but at least a starting point for a conversation that, you know, what's the price of a bridge and the price of people's safety?
Well, yeah, and that came up in conversation yesterday, and the general consensus from the membership is that the Enbridge clearly has the money, right? They're one of the wealthiest, you know, they have operations across the world. So money isn't the issue. It's they don't want to pay more than what they've offered. And, you know, in addition, of course, safety can't be forgotten about, and that came up repeatedly. It's not all about money. It's first and foremost about safety. And, you know, Enbridge certainly purports to be a world-class operator of the transportation of hydrocarbons. Well, you heard me read through a list of incidents over the past few years, and, you know, from my perspective, those incidents are unacceptable. And so yeah, so the consensus at the community level is, for some reason, and you know, I guess there can be some conjecture as to what the reasons are. They're not prepared at this juncture to do the right thing.
There you have it, members. Our lead lawyer on the case, Malcolm McPherson with Clark Wilson in Vancouver, available to answer your questions anytime, and we will post up for you Malcolm's contact information, or contact the band office or the Brunswick Street office. We'll make it available should you have questions. Malcolm has invited you to contact him directly, and he'll get back to you in a timely manner. Second thing is, Malcolm, thanks for your time this weekend to update the community and do this little video message to members. We always appreciate your time, and you'll be back in about a month's time to provide a further update to members. So members, now is the time to think about your questions. Malcolm will be back in July, and you'll receive an invitation to the community meeting and have that opportunity to speak with him directly. So for now, thank you, Malcolm, for your time this weekend.
Thank you.
And members, as we say goodbye to June and hello July, continue to be safe out there, and we'll come back to you on this case next month.